Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. In this video, we're gonna catch up on the Slash project and what's been going on. In the last video, you saw some track video and some really bad handling characteristics. And since then, I got rid of the shocks that were on there. The TLRs were just too light. They're just not strong enough no matter how much spring you put in them. In fact, stiff enough springs simply aren't available. What I've come to realize is that the four-wheel drive short course trucks are all of a weight that is far more in line with what you would have in a 1/8 scale vehicle. And such motors, speed controllers, suspension pretty much needs to be up to that par. And so I found someone on eBay who was selling brand new unassembled sets of shock absorbers from various vehicles. It was an online hobby store, and they had a couple pairs of Serpent GT road shocks. And since the road car shocks are the same length, front and rear, I put a front aluminum shock mount or shock tower in the rear as well as in the front. Utilized a few spacers just to get the spacing right. Also, these springs are larger in diameter. These are 16 millimeter springs, and they're much heavier. Instead of being weighed in the 10-pound plus or minus range, these are in the 20 and 30-pound range, much heavier. And as you'll see from the track footage that I have for you in this video, the car handles much better. The red, yellow, and white fluorescent truck body got torn up over several races, and I decided to go with a car-style body because in this kind of Franken truck class, the only rules are that it be based on a short course truck, that you run a 2S battery, and that you run rubber tires. So everything is up for grabs. As you already know, I put on 17 millimeter adapters, and I've been running 17 millimeter GT wheels, like these GRPs here, which work great. Those are getting a little worn at this point because it's been several races now with them, and the car drives a lot better. Huge improvement. I can't begin to describe the night and day improvement just by going to a heavy duty shock and having that extra spring and damping. No more diving in turns. It doesn't wallow. It's far more likely, if it is going to pitch to one side, it's going to flat slide versus wallowing and then sliding an outside tire. So again, huge change. So now I'm going back and I am changing the diffs, the fluid in the diffs ahead of this race, this weekend's race, which is the last one of the season, unfortunately. That doesn't mean development is stopping on this. In fact, I have a whole array of new parts en route which are going to dramatically change this truck even further. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You'll just have to keep watching and find out. But if you have a class like this that you run and you're working with a Traxxas Slash, you're going to really want to watch this. And it should be quite interesting. Now, also, in addition to the changes I had already made, I bought this. This is a steel chassis brace for the Slash, and it bolts on across here. Now, I couldn't tell a specific difference, but I definitely feel like the car is more connected, and I think having that brace helps stiffen up the chassis. It keeps it from flexing as much as it might otherwise, because you've basically, with the Slash, you basically have a front end clip and a rear end clip, and they're independent like this. You can remove them from the chassis. And then that chassis itself provides all the structural strength and stiffness in between those two suspension clips. As you can see with the drive shaft, the way they designed the Slash drive shaft to be able to move back and forth, it does kind of point to the fact that this is, that there is going to be some body flex, in the middle and possibly twist. And this would help reduce or eliminate that altogether. And if you're familiar with road cars, you know that they tend to be a very rigid chassis. They're not, what flex they might have is designed into them on purpose, but it's not random. So what I'm doing today is I've already taken apart and cleaned the center diff, and I have increased the fluid viscosity to 150,000 using this hoodie fluid right here, 150K. And I am going to be, I think I've got time to do this today, so I'm ready for Sunday, is to redo the front with 40 and the rear with 20. So this is going to stiffen things up pretty dramatically from where they were. I wish I had a 25 or maybe even a 30. I think I've got 30, but I want to keep the ratio at more of a 1-to-2. So I'm going to go ahead and do these two, and we'll see how things go. Hopefully this will tighten things down a bit, eliminate some of the wheel spin that I have from time to time. There are times when, and this could also just be, sometimes I drive with my emotions instead of my head when I've, fallen off a little bit, or, took a bad turn, misjudged something, and then, I've got to try to get my race face back on and drive calm and drive, not drive with bravado. In any event, you'll see that the car does get a lot of sliding still, and that's one of the things I'm working on in this next build. And you kind of can't help that because these are a heavy vehicle. There's only so much tire. They are going to slide a bit if you really push them, and they have a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of weight there to get them sliding. But I'm thinking that I'm getting like 1 or 2 tires spinning a lot, like over spinning, and that's helping to create the slide situations. So I'm trying to stiffen up the whole drive line as far as the diff fluid goes to prevent power from dropping off to the 1 or 2 wheels that are loose, and trying to keep that power more evenly going to all 4. That's why the heavy fluid in the center diff, that's going to make for a much more even power distribution front to rear. And then the thicker fluids here will do the same thing on a left to right, less so in the rear. And the rear is where we kind of do want more slippage. So I'm going to do these changes, and we'll have some more race footage in a video to follow this one. And in that video, hopefully all the upgrade parts will be in, and I will be working on this car in the off season. I'll probably take it out to a parking lot here and there for a little testing, but once it gets really cold, it's hard to get the tires heated up and get them performing right. So it's going to be sliding around anyway, and so it's going to be hard to tell what the fruits of my labors are getting me until we get to the next race season in the spring. But again, I'm going to continue evolving this project, and I'm going to be continuing to race this car for several years to come. Undoubtedly, it's a lot of fun. The performance level is really coming up as I've been making these changes and figuring out what works. I really liked the body that I had. It's a Subaru WRX. You can see it right here. It's taken a bit of a beating, as you can see, already in just one weekend's outing, but that is the nature of asphalt racing in a crowded field with lots of aggressive people. It does seem to be the craziest of the classes, and you know, everyone seems to let their hair down, and there's a lot of fender banging, and it just gets a little crazy. When you're out in the open and you're doing fast laps, you kind of feel like you're running for your life, trying to keep away from everyone so they don't take you out and slow you down.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, dude. Hey, I'm sorry.
When you cross the line, you will be done. When you cross, you will be done.
Anyway, I picked up another one of those bodies. It's a Delta Plastics body. You can go to Delta Plastic USA. They make some absolutely gorgeous bodies. I wanted a second WRX, A, because I really like it. B, I wanted to go with a thicker Lexan. Some of their bodies they make in multiple thicknesses. For example, the Subaru must be a popular one because they make it in 1 millimeter, 1.5, and 2 millimeter. The one that I have is a 1.5 millimeter. And it's already taken a bit of damage. It's holding up okay so far, but if it's anything like that truck body, it's going to come apart, you know, within 3 or 4 races. And so I'm going to do a bunch of bodies this winter, just paint them all up, have them all ready to go. And I have a Fiesta body for this as well. I'm just liking the rally cars right now as far as this class goes. I do have a more of a sports car slash Can-Am style. I should say supercar versus sports car. It's a McLaren body, and the extra aero of the Subaru body seemed to be one of the things that helped calm the vehicle down, or at least that's what some of my friends were telling me at the track, that it seemed like the body had you know, part of the effect aside from the suspension changes. And so I'm going to continue down that road and see where it goes as well. Okay, I just wanted to show you one of the nice things about the Slash, just how easy it is to get to these diffs and to remove them. Okay, right now I've got it open. What I did was I disconnected the bumper, and there's 3 screws on the bottom side that you remove that hold on the plate for the bumper, and then you remove the 2 screws behind those to loosen the diff housing. But you could almost leave those in, because all you got to do is, once the center screw is out down here, and that comes with the bumper and the little cross piece here, you undo the 2 screws on either side of the housing, and it comes right off. Then to get the diff out, and you don't even need to move the sway bar. To remove the diff, you just, well, it depends on the type of axles you have, but in my case, all I need to do is loosen these retaining grub screws. As you can see, the diff is already, you know, on its way out. Pull the 2 grub screws out that hold the axle shafts on. pull these guys out, and then I can just pull the diff right out. Bingo. Pull the bearings, and then just start cleaning stuff and change fluid. And this is something that you can do, you know, trackside if you need to, or if you're trying to do some testing. It certainly is doable. Just make sure you've got some motor spray and some paper towels around, and fresh grease, and you know, the various things you need to do this. Your diff lubes, and you're on your way. But that's all it takes is a handful of screws, maybe a half dozen altogether, 8, 9 screws tops, and you know, you're done. I'm just doing a little tuning, some adjustments. Everything was pretty well set up already from the last race, but anytime I work on the vehicle, and pretty much after every race weekend, I just check stuff to make sure that, you know, camber, caster, toe, things are like that. Or caster doesn't change. That's usually something that you adjust by changing pieces. But camber and toe are two really big things that affect handling. So making sure that they're dialed in correct helps. These are really nice. They are setup wheels by DE Racing. DE makes a lot of nice products. I've got some of their tires. I've got a lot of their wheels, particularly on my short course truck of old, and buggies of old. And it's what I'm going to be using on my new short course truck. And I've always wanted a couple sets of these, and I finally got around to getting them, and boy, do they make a difference. Because, you know, when you're trying to get, you know, within a, you know, a degree of angle on a rubber tire, you know, depending on how even this is glued on, you can get, you know, differences, and that, you know, when you come back and check it again, it's like, wait a minute, I just checked this 10 minutes ago, and it was, you know, at -1 degree, and now it's off again. And having this large surface, these are for 1/8 scale vehicles, and I also got a set for 10th scale vehicles. And not only do they make them in 12 and 17 hex, these little adapters, you just switch them in. So I could use this set of wheels with the 17-inch adapters, or 17mm adapters if I wanted to. They also make a long axle version, so you can see the difference between this piece and this piece here. They it sticks out further, and that allows for vehicles like 1/10 scale buggies and short course trucks, two-wheel drives in particular, that have those long rear axles, and that way you don't have to, you know, screw a wheel nut in a 1/2 inch, or even not be able to tighten it down because it's got a smooth shank on it, and the, you know, the nut hits the shank before you get to the regular size wheel hub or adapter. And they're just handy as can be, and they make setup so much easier and so much more precise, especially like when you're trying to adjust your front toe and you're standing over your vehicle and you're looking at your setup board and you're looking at these lines and trying to see, does the wheel square up with the line or not. And that can get really dicey as far as being able to see it or not. Because these 1/8 ones are nice and tall, when you've got a gauge set up next to them, you really know if you're on point or not. And you know, rubber wheels get worn. I mean, if you look at these, they are fairly well sloped over here because of all the sliding around turns that I've done with these. And the amount of, you know, when you're leaning hard into turns, you're putting most of the weight on the outer edge of the tire, so this is getting the most wear. Well, not having a flat surface here makes it hard to, you know, decide whether you've got a proper toe setting or not. And it can fool your suspension, because suspension will have a little bit of play in it. So with these, you just lift it up for a second and then set it back down again, let it, you know, feel its weight, and, you know, check again, and you know if it's right or not. I highly recommend them. They're a good product. I think it makes it a lot easier to sort out your car, and that's very important. Getting those settings correct before you go out to the track, and if you need to make changes while you're at the track, being able to do that well and clearly is extremely important. Anyway, I've talked enough about this for the moment. I'm going to go ahead and show you some race footage, and then I'll let you know how this finishes off at the end of the day, and that'll be the end of this video.
Good thing racing course Rick. Your leader in the Barney Traxxas truck in front of the driver's stand with the wheelie bars on it on the right-hand side of the track. Hitting it in, showing them how it's done, wheeling and dealing, slicing and dicing down the straightaway. He goes into the sweeper underneath the start finish. Hitting it in, showing them how it's done. That is your leader, making it look easy. Got Brian Walbert in the T spot, leading his left behind Brian. Brian is right here in front of me. Now he's in front of the driver's stand. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean. Good clean start, that's what we like to see, accepting.
Jordan, you asked.
One more man.
There's guys in that truck.
Dude.
Cardio, yo.
That was pretty clean, guys. Pretty clean. I like it.
Go away, Steve. Nice braking, Doug.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Good job, guys. Good racing.
5 minutes left.
Ooh. Is that Bill? Oh, Bill. Oh, I shouldn't have said your name. Oh, watch the start finish. Watch the start finish. Start finish. Take it easy. All right, it's clear. Go get him.
This is going to be chaotic. I already see it. My wing. Is this the way to go?
All right, I don't know where to start first. Let's see. We got Brandon Walbert in the 1, Christian 2, Brian in 3, Suzanne 4, Sam 5, Brandon 6, Bill 7, Brandon in 8, Steven in the 10, because Bill just switched back. team racing guys, their leader is Brian Bennett. That is 3 more minutes left in the middle of the track. With the black wind down the straightaway, flying, about to go into the sweeper. Oh, nice move underneath the side fence. Barely not getting the white truck just behind you to get up there to get him in the room. He is making his way through the crowd. Passing on the right-hand side of the track, got a margin.
Come on, dude, the car, not the railing.
Alright, it's clear.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.